Welcome to Meg's Mysteries. October is a time for monsters, true or fiction. This is called Out of the Box. Lilith Gray here. My first book, Creatures of Habit, was a bestseller made into a movie and soon to be a TV series. I'm now on my way to becoming a best-selling author of legends, true, false monster tales. So now I'm off to do more research for my new addition to the series, along with Jack Topper and his wife Juliet, my best friends and research partners. Jack's my oldest friend, and Juliet is my new sister friend. Jack does all the videos and pictures for my books, and Juliet has a great insight to monsters and their legends, because they both are werewolves. Not the scary kind, but the New Age monsters, who learn to live with the human world and no harm to anyone, especially me. They both learn to control their creature habits. This time we're all on search of vampire legends, but not to Transylvania in Romania, like Bram Stoker's Dracula, which was one of my favorite classic films, by the way. Bela Lugosi gave us chills and thrills as he was the Count. He was the best I've ever seen in the role, and there were many great actors trying to do him justice. Romania was where most people look for vampire legends, but we're off to France to see the 18th century vampire, Countess Leonora Ambrosio, the immortal beauty from a long line of vampires. There are legends from all around the world, from Hebrew, Greek, Roman tales, not just in Romania and Hungary, but we're going to France to visit a friend of Juliet's. I know you say, but aren't werewolves and vampires enemies? True, most of them are, but some do get along when they have to work together. In this case, the Countess asked Juliet for some help finding a stolen brooch that was in her family from the start of the line, which started in the 14th century. Her ancestor was one of the first vampires, Ambrogio. The family line had lived in many places, but went to France in the 17th century, and they still reside there. She had to get it back at all costs, so she befriended Juliet and asked for her help. Jack and Juliet found the stolen brooch. It ended up in the Vampire Museum in Paris, France. Jack and Juliet had a great way of sniffing out the thief and returning the jewelry to the Countess, the true owner. So now we're all her invited guests to ask her anything about vampire legends and her family's true story. This book will be another bestseller, I could just tell. Paris, France, with a beautiful chateau on the outskirts of the city. Jack was kidding me all the way. He said, "Did you bring your cross and your garlic?" Juliet told him, "Stop teasing me." She said, "Lilith is a friend of mine, and the Countess will not harm her." I made sure of that. Jack said, "Just kidding. This will be wild. I would have never believed in vampires, but now I'm a werewolf. Anything's possible, right?" I said, "Oh, you're such a comic. Get serious, will you? This is my livelihood now. We need to get all the facts, true or fiction." Jack smiled and said, "Okay, I'm in. I'll help any way I can. But this is serious as I get." Then he made a snarly face at me. I hit him in the arm and said, "But I still love you, you nut." We got to the chateau very late that night. The Countess was waiting for us. She was as beautiful as Juliet described her. So young, just like her portrait that was hanging over the fireplace. She never ages. We both were greeted, and she said, "We'll talk tomorrow night. You must be tired." Then we were all showed to our rooms by her man, Giorgio. He was old and creepy, and he kept smiling at me. Jack whispered to me, "You have an admirer. Be very careful." And then he started to laugh. I said, "Don't be so silly. He'll hear you. See you in the morning." The Countess did hear Jack and said, You're all okay. He's harmless. He's been with me forever." The next night, after a terrific dinner, the Countess had a blood-red soup and wine laced with blood. I was happy that we had a normal meal of meat and vegetables. Afterward, we went down, and Jack took a video and pictures of the chateau and all the portraits of her ancestors. She told us most are still around. Then she told us my family line is one of the oldest. It started with Ambrogio. He was turned in the 14th century. He used a venomous saliva that Anthrax gave him to help Selena, the goddess of the moon, and they turned others into vampires. That was a Greek myth. Our family lived in many countries. This was a Greek and Roman myth, but in reality it was true. You can look up the myth yourself and make up your own mind, or you can just believe my story. I'm living proof. Well, not living. Then she started to laugh. "Oh, I'm sorry. I couldn't help it. It's a little vampire humor." I thought to myself, what, is everybody a comic now? She read my mind and said, "Sorry, but you are too serious. Will you lighten up? This is how we got to live so long. You need a sense of humor. Right, Juliet?" And then they all started to laugh, and then I found myself joining in. Then she told us her brother Luis and her are modern vampires. You'll meet him soon, and he's very anxious to meet you all. I looked at Jack. I hope he's as friendly as the Countess. Daylight was coming, and the Countess said, "I bid you good night. Good day." And then she left us. I said, boy, she had a great sense of humor. Makes me feel a lot better. She seemed almost human. Juliet said, "Well, she used to be. We monsters do have fun." I agree with her. You humans take things too seriously. Okay, let's get back to work, you two. So we did. The next night, Luis came for dinner. He was so handsome. He almost looked like Brad Pitt in the vampire movie, Interview with a Vampire. I almost laughed when he introduced himself to me. He just smiled and said, "I know I look like Louis Dupont de Longue from the movie. Everyone says that when we meet." We all love that movie, right, Leonora? She was just smiling and said, "Yes, but that's just fiction, and we're the real thing, right, brother?" Louise then said, "We are modern and do not drink blood from people anymore, but the blood from the blood bank. And we don't sleep in coffins. We are out of the box, as you would say." I didn't know if I should laugh, but that was very funny. Jack could see me falling for the guy, so he said to me on the side, "Okay, Lilith, get the story and we're out of here, unless you want to join the Monster Club." So we finished up with all the research we needed for the new book, and much more. It was tempting, but I knew I had to control myself. I was there for a story, not to fall for a vampire, no matter how handsome he looked. We thanked them both and made 2 new friends. They gave us an open invitation to visit any time. I invited them to visit us in the States if they ever wanted to. Louise kissed my hand and said, "You know, if you invite a vampire in, what can happen?" Jack said, "We know all too well, and I'm keeping an eye on you." "Just kidding. You're all welcome any time." And we parted as friends. We're off to the States to write and to add to the book series. I have a good feeling it'll go well. The book is now on the bestseller list. Look for True Fiction Monster Series. The book is called Out of the Box, a true fiction story with a touch of vampire humor. More on the way. Hope to see you at the book signing. Lilith Gray, signing off for now. Look for my next book, Stir the Pot, coming soon to a bookstore near you. Thank you. Have a good day, and we'll see you soon.